Hi everyone and welcome to the BeJS Podcast. I'm Aymen, the founder of BeJS, and I'm a front-end developer based in Brussels, and I love React. Today we're having one of our local JavaScript rock stars, Elian Van Cutsem. Hi Elian.
Hey Aymen. Local rock star. I wouldn't call myself a rock star. No, yeah,
You're kind
I'm
of
Elian.
our rock star.
Not really. So I'm Elian. I used to be a front-end engineer, but not anymore. Now I'm a community engineer at Astro, working for the Astro technology company. So yeah, mainly all things Astro and community in Astro. And of course, a little bit of documentation as well. And I'm also from Brussels, originally, but I still live in Belgium. Yeah, I think that's it.
And where do you live now?
I live in Ghent.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh. That's a
Awesome
super
city.
nice city.
Yeah, you should come by.
Actually, it's my favorite city in Belgium. Like, I like it
Really?
even better than Bruges.
Yeah, probably. Like I always tell people, Bruges is really it's a tourist trap. It's not really nice, and Ghent is kind of the same, but even prettier and less touristy.
I totally agree. So, Elian, tell us a bit about how did your coding career start? Like, when did you start coding? How was your journey? Tell us everything.
Yeah, it's quite a long story actually. Do we have time? No. I started working on like little web projects for myself back in, I would say something like 2016, something like that. I was like 16, 17 years old at that time. Yeah, I know I'm young. But I started like developing some things in HTML just for fun, just a little website, you know. And at that time I was studying photography here in Ghent. And I wanted to display my photos online. I did have a WordPress website at that time. But it wasn't kind of doing the things that I wanted it to do. So I was trying to figure out how those PHP things worked and how I could like make my own plugin to fit my needs better. So I started doing that, and then I got my degree in photography, and I had to make a choice for university, right? So I was thinking, what am I actually enjoying the most? What am I going to do? What do I want to do as a job? And actually, my dad is a network engineer, and I kind of like his job sounded really cool, sounded really fun, and I said like, okay, yeah, I really enjoy making websites as well. Let me go and try to go to university for computer science. So I started computer science in my first year at uni, and it was awesome. It was really cool. We learned so much stuff. The first year, of course, was like kind of an adjustment for me because you have to do math, a lot of like mathematics and stuff. I didn't used to do that before because I was doing photography. You know, I push a button, and now I have to push many buttons on a keyboard. And I had to learn Java and how classes worked and object-oriented programming and all of those crazy terms. But I enjoyed it so much. And in the second like semester of the year, we started doing a little bit of JavaScript, but like still jQuery stuff. And like this was 2020 or something. So actually jQuery was already like way outdated. React existed and was very mature. But no, we had to use jQuery, which was really funny. But yeah, so I started doing a lot of JavaScript there. And then I kind of fell in love with programming and websites and mainly JavaScript. I also did a lot of PHP. So yeah, when I started doing a lot in JavaScript, I eventually transitioned to Vue, whereas a lot of the people that were my peers, yeah, exactly, transitioned into React. But no, I chose Vue because Vue was so readable. It was so, it looked a lot, very familiar, you know, it looked a lot like HTML does. So it was very readable to me. And I wasn't really a good programmer back then. Well, to be honest, I'm not now. But so it made more sense. And then of course, Vue, as we all know, is very much open source and really thrives in open source. And then I learned about this thing called GitHub and Discord and open source communities and how all of that started. And I think when I was in my last year, I was writing a paper on web performance and, well, actually it became a paper about hydration, but I didn't know that at that time. I wrote a paper on web performance, how we can improve, and like even ES modules were new at that time, so that also got included. And then I struggled on this little framework with one page on the internet called Astro. And actually it came from Skypack. I was looking at Skypack. Snowpack, sorry, Snowpack. Long gone days now, but I was looking at Snowpack. And of course, Fred, the creator of Snowpack, is also the creator of Astro. And when I read like the first page on Astro, it clicked. It was like, why are we shipping so much JavaScript if we don't need it? What if we could do it another way? And it clicked, and then I wrote I think the whole paper that I wrote was 87 pages or something. It was huge. It was mainly about hydration and stuff. And then I started rolling in that open source community. And then 3 months ago, they approached me and said, hey, you want to come work for us? And I said, yeah, fuck, of course. I'm really happy there. I guess that's how my open source story started. Yeah.
Whoa, that's an amazing story. And also an amazing start. A lot of people usually get involved in open source a bit late in their career. So it's very nice that you got
I was really lucky
get
in
involved.
a sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think one of the things that I didn't mention is I was working at a company before, vBridge. They mainly specialize in cloud stuff, but I was like the engineer there. I did all of their cloud native programming and such. And my boss, Bramus, is very much of a CSS person and was giving talks about CSS and was talking about a lot of cool stuff in open source as well. And he kind of pushed me forward to invest in open source and to look at open source stuff, and kind of pushed me to Astro eventually. Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you are currently working at Astro. Can you explain a little bit what is Astro to people in the audience?
Right. The easiest, well, it's not actually a very good explanation, but the easiest that I always say is think of Next of Nuxt, right? You know Next or you know Nuxt. Think of that, but easier, better, faster, and way prettier. But also it doesn't ship any JavaScript, which is of course the benefit you get. The real explanation would be something more like it's a JavaScript meta framework that allows you to actually don't ship any JavaScript to your end users where you don't need it, which we call islands architecture. Of course, you can use a front-end framework in our framework. You can use any framework you want, being plain vanilla JS, or you want to use Alpine.js, or you want to use Svelte, Vue, React. You can use all of them. And with island architecture, of course, comes the ability that you can use all of them on one page because they're isolated islands. So you can build one component in React, but you like a button in Vue. So you write a button in Vue. And eventually, if you don't need any JavaScript to be shipped, you will still just output static HTML. That's, I think, kind of the closest.
So you mentioned islands architecture a few times. Can you explain a bit that concept and what it is and how it makes your website better?
Yeah, exactly. So what we typically do in a very simple client app, right? So think of the Create React apps in the days. You were actually shipping an index.html with just an ID that says your application comes here. And it's true. What you just went is hey, here's the HTML. I require a script, and that script will inject the whole DOM tree into your application. Of course, that makes that you need a lot of JavaScript because all of those scripts are running, all of the scripts are injecting themselves, and you have a very, very big and hefty website. It is good in a sense that you have seamless app-like transitions, right? You have a full application that is running in your browser, which is really, really powerful, but also really, really slow at first, which is not good for things like SEO and all of that. And what we do at Astro is actually we take the whole other route. we do a different kind of design where we we allow you to use JavaScript as much as you want and anywhere as you want. For instance, think of a list that your footer has a list of items, right? With links to your Discord, to your Twitter profile, to Mastodon, and that's a for loop. Well, in React, you would typically just ship that for loop and just inject the items and just render them all in one tree. Whereas with Astro, you actually would be building them at build time on your machine and then just shipping the outputted LE elements of your HTML and just ship that whole thing. And what we mean by island architecture is that, of course, you need some hydration. You need some JavaScript to make a website interactive. You need some component to be interactive. For instance, think of a button that opens your mobile menu. You need that. So what you can do is just say, hey, I want this component to be interactive. So do ship JavaScript to this button. And then we say, okay, nice. We know that you need some JavaScript here. We'll ship that for you. Anything else will be static. And that really helps you in performance. It really helps you in SEO. And eventually, since we now have view transitions, that's maybe another topic, but since we now have view transitions, your application is still an MPA, a multi-page application, but still will feel way more like an SPA used to feel, if that makes sense.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, there isn't a way of doing a single page application with Astro. Or there is a way.
Yes and no.
That's not the default.
It's definitely not the default. The default is just basic MPA behavior. That's true. Mm-hmm. We do kind of have an SPA router built into Astro just to enable view transitions, but that's another story. That's mainly because of polyfilling and because it's still like kind of buggy to always use your view transitions. But what you can do is just embed a whole SPA into your Astro website. But there is no real SPA-like behavior. Well, no real SPA outputted Astro website.
Okay.
Yet.
So, I like the mystery. So, what are the key concepts that made you fall in love with Astro? Like
we have a lot of them.
Performance, island architecture, but what else?
There is so much. The Discord community felt so friendly at first. Like I said, the moment that I started using Astro, there was just one page on the internet, and then eventually that became a website, and then you had a Discord link. So I joined the Discord. I found out that the Astro.build website didn't have a basic 404 page. That was my first contribution. I built that page to this day. But the thing was that I messaged them on Discord like, hey, I saw you don't have a 404 page. And then I think it was Nate, actually, who is one of the co-creators, just messaged me back and said, hey, you want to PR it in? Here's how to do it. And I was like, whoa, this is the creator of an actual real framework that just approached me and said, hey, you can totally build this thing. This is how you do it. And here is how you add it. And I was so like, I was really, I felt so welcome. It's crazy. Like to me, Fred and Nate and Matthew were icons, right? They do so much cool stuff and they are pushing the web forward. And I'm this little guy somewhere in Belgium that doesn't know shit about anything. And I get invited to build something for them to put in use. That is crazy. And that actually, even though like on our Discord, we have over 20K members now, that's a lot. It's like 20,000. That's still the same vibe. You can still just message us on Discord and we'll answer. That was one of the key things that drew me in. But also like the amazing developer experience. To be honest, it was worse when I started using it, but you instantly felt that the creators and the whole team cared so much about making it easy for you as a developer to build the best shit you can build, and making it fun to do so. For instance, you probably have used the Astro CLI. It has this little Houston thing, and Houston is amazing. Everyone loves them. And the thing is, it's super easy to build, right? But it's so much fun, and it makes your CLI so much more fun to use, familiar to use. So you can tell they care a lot about like adding features that are pushing things forward in our whole industry, I think. And I guess that one of the other features, but that comes with performance and the whole island hydration thing, is SEO. I really cared about SEO back in the day. So yeah, it made sense for me to just go with Astro.
I see. So to summarize, community is like the key of
well
of you.
Of course, yeah, of course. Yeah, well, I must say, like, I'm a community engineer at Astro, right? But also, I didn't mention actually the documentation is incredible. It used to be incredible already when I started using it, and then Sarah came on and even made it so much better. And now it's like, I think actually today in the open source world, I think we're driving the benchmark, and that's really fun and really good to know. And I think I can proudly say that. I don't think that I'm like exaggerating here. So yeah, I think that's one of the features as well.
That's cool.
I know.
Yeah, documentation. I think documentation is one of the most important thing if you're trying to market a framework or something. Because like, if it's not documented, no one is going to use it if they don't know how to use it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole point. The thing is, I said this at my panel at React Brussels as well. So if you haven't seen that video, peeps, it's somewhere on YouTube. You can search it, and it's a very good panel actually. It was with Rachel Neighbors and Tejas and Attila, and one of the things that I'm really proud of being able to say on stage was that I think of my users of documentation as being the most angry, annoyed person ever. And the thing is, that is mostly true, because if I have to look something up in the documentation, there is not a lot of people that are just reading documentation like a book. There are some people that do that. But if I have to go to the documentation, for instance, for Nuxt, I need to find my answer in minutes, because otherwise I'm just like losing valuable time. So I always try, we, as in the whole team, are trying to make things short, concise, and easy to grab so you understand everything. And I think that sets us really apart from some other frameworks that are really like, in Belgium we have this word like, this saying like stirring the pot, around the pot all the time. They are like massaging you into an answer, but not really being too direct or showing you 15 ways of doing something and achieving the same result. It's not helping anyone. Just say, this is what you need to do. Is this your problem? Do this. If this is your problem, do this. You want to achieve that? Here is a code sample. You want something else? Here is something else. I think that's one of the main driving factors there. Yeah.
That's good. So, my next question is more kind of for people who want to start. So what kind of websites or apps would be a really great fit for Astro?
Well,
and are there any caveats when using Astro? Like, is there some type of websites where you wouldn't advise using Astro, for example?
Yeah, well, a lot has changed over the years in Astro. When we were back at Astro 1 or 2, people used to say like, we actually also used to say it's for content first or content only websites, right? Blogs, portfolios, that stuff. But then we introduced server-side rendering, and we shipped so much more stuff now that actually I can't really think of a need where Astro wouldn't be able to fit in. It might be not the best case for every application. For instance, really heavy dashboards. It might not be the best thing. People used to say like Astro for websites, quick for app, right? But that isn't really true anymore. I think you can build anything with Astro. And especially like if you have a very heavy application, you only get benefits from using Astro because you won't be shipping hydration that much, or you won't be having so much like unreadable code. I think now, and I can say this, but in I think 4 weeks or something, we are releasing Astro 4, and it will be even faster and even better. So I don't really think there is anything that can't be built with Astro. I won't say that it's the best fit to build all of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes totally sense. Like, because at the end of the day, the answer is always it depends, right?
Exactly, that's the whole thing. It depends, and it's true. Yeah, very much.
So, going back to the topic of people starting using Astro, like, what would be your advice to someone who is just starting with Astro? Like, where to go, where to look for documentation, how to get help if they get stuck?
Really easy, actually. It's if you want to build something in Astro, the first thing you do is look up the website, right? Which is astro.build. We have all of our links for anything that you want on that website. We have links to the documentation, which is docs.astro.build. We have their links for our Discord, and actually our Discord is the best place to get support, to have questions, to think together on some problem, or to just request features, just saying something. We really have fun in Discord. For instance, I think it was still today. I was doing like every week we do community calls, and every week we do talking and docking, which is actually just letting people into our daily work. And that's basically just me doing my work and people watching me and helping me. And it was someone else that came up just with some solution for something that I needed. And it's really fun to be able to work together that way. But yeah, I think joining the Astro Discord is a must. It's really fun. And of course, yeah, just looking at our documentation, you'll learn anything that we can teach you.
Yeah, and I heard you talk earlier about Houston. Who's Houston?
Oh, who's Houston? Well, Houston is our mascot. It's this little icon that I think it was Nate that came up with it. And then we started to develop kind of a relationship with that mascot, and now it's in our CLI, it's on our website, it's become like a real icon for Astro. And I think their main purpose of Houston is to just make web development a little bit more funny, I guess, and just a little bit more friendly. And I think it works.
It probably works, like, because I mean, just looking at Houston, you feel kind of calmer and
exactly. It's just fun. Yeah, I'm really still waiting on the day that we could actually from our swag shop ship Houston like plushies or something. That would really be funny. Like, I want a really big but like 2 meter long Houston pillow or something. Yeah, I think we could do that.
Yeah, for BeJS we also have a mascot. It's a lion.
Yeah, it's Leo, right?
Leo.
Called Leo?
Leo.
Yeah.
And so I'm also looking at how we could like manufacture small kind of teddy bears, but lion teddy bears.
That would be funny. Yeah, we should make a duo. Yeah, should make an introduction from Leo to Houston. Yeah.
Oh, maybe a podcast.
That's a good idea.
Leo could invite Houston. Would be nice. So you said that you work in the DX team at Astro.
Yeah.
So first of all, what's DX for you?
Yeah. Developer experience. Yeah. Go ahead.
And how do you improve it at Astro? Like, what do you do to improve developer experience?
Yeah, it's so much, like developer experience in a sense. I always define as being user experience because your users are mainly developers. And it's everything. Like, developer experience touches everything. It touched our marketing websites in a sense. It touched our CLI. It does touch our documentation all the time. It touches our community. It's a lot, and improving it is, of course, a very wide term. Like, what is improving developer experience? It's really hard. But I think good developer experience lies in things being clear, and that's why, for instance, that we put so much work in documentation. That's what I mainly do is building the community, being able to have 20,000 people, in our Discord, and not having any like toxicity at all. Well, I can't say at all, but not that much.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really crazy thing, actually, if you think about that. I don't think a Discord like Next or Next. I'm not calling names. I'm just taking an example. But I don't think you can get that same kind of community because it's never has been there from the start. And I think with Astro, it always was kind of lucky enough to have it from the start and then building on that. And then I think developer experience also lies a lot in like not only taking the happy path. There is a lot of frameworks out there or libraries, whatever, that are just going out of having the happy path and never showing any errors or not expecting them, whatever, and failing all the time. And I think Astro does that really well. Like, it shows you what errors you have on your screen and lays out a possible solution for you, or even links to some documentation pages. All automatically. It's not really automatically, but it feels automatically for you as a developer. I think that's really good. And there is so much, like what I said, developer experience is so wide. We actually also thought that developer experience might not be the correct name for our team anymore, since we do almost everything in a sense. But yeah, to be honest, it's the most fun I've ever had at a job. It's basically, they're telling me, here is 40 hours a week of budget and build cool things with it. And these are the goals. And then you just do what you want and you just improve everything. And it's so much fun. Yeah.
So cool. Something that I really like in Astro is it's so easy to, for example, add Tailwind CSS or something, like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. CLI tools. Yeah.
CLI tools, and also like when you have an error or something, is like it tells you the error, and it's not a cryptic error like you could find in other places or sometimes in our own code.
Exactly, like you know, you always have those errors that are really cryptic, that are really wide, and that you try to Google and you don't find anything except for some Stack Overflow page that wasn't solved from 4 years ago. That's really annoying, and we've all been there. Well, I guess I have been, at least. And I think that's one of the ways that are not really hard to improve. Also, like the same with our CLI tools, like Astro Add React. It's so easy and it does everything for you. And you know that you have built a good tool when other frameworks start copying it. And now you can do Nuxt Add, or you can do Svelte Add, whatever. If that starts to happen, you know you've touched the right button. And I think that's one of the core things I always say. Like, I'm not here to just build Astro, I'm here to build a better web. And we all learn from each other, we all take from each other, and we all try to improve. And I think Astro is also really great at that.
Yeah, getting feedback from users, which are devs in this case, is very critical, and that's what helps you kind of build an even better product. So totally
definitely. Exactly. Like, we have a lot of issues opening GitHub, for instance, but also we have added a button on our documentation which just says give us feedback, and you can click on that and it will automatically open an issue or send us an email with whatever you wrote, which is super easy and super useful because we have a catalog of issues that people have, and then we can triage them and then just solve them. So yeah.
So I wanted to speak about another part of your career, which is speaking at conferences.
Right.
So how did you become a speaker? I heard your mentor was a speaker, Bramus.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I won't say he pushed me into it, but he kind of did. There, at the time, there were meetups being held here in Ghent for developers. It stopped now, but I have also like filled the gap and made devs.ghent, which is now the I would say developer meetup here in Ghent. And there was like an open call for papers, right? You know that you send just a short topic, and I was like, hey, this Astro thing is really interesting. And then Bramus told me, if you think it's interesting and you have a little bit of knowledge about it, don't be scared to go and talk about it with other people, because that's the way that you learn yourself. If you can explain an issue, if you can explain a framework to someone, that's the real thing that you know the framework, because you have to explain it. And you learn that way. And I was like, yeah, sure, let me do that. I was still in school at that time as well. So it was actually, this is really an embarrassing story actually. So the thing was, there was a quiz at school, and I was I think I was asked, it was a quiz, and I was asked to be like some jury member, right? And they gave us free beer. And if you know one thing about Belgians and beer, that is, it goes very well together. You know where I'm going with this, right? So I drank a lot of Duvel, and a couple of hours later, I think an hour later, I had to be at that meetup. So I took the tram and went to that meetup, but I was getting really wasted. So then I had to go on stage while being drunk, and I did my talk without being nervous at all, because I was just too wasted. But because of that, I felt so much at ease that I wanted to do it again and again and again and again. And because I did that one little talk of 7 minutes, it was a lightning talk, I got the chance to go speak somewhere else. And then I got the chance to speak somewhere else. And then if you've done 2 or 3 talks, people kind of know you can do it. And then I got asked more and more. And I guess that's how it still goes. Yeah. The ball started rolling by itself, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, when you talked about you being drunk when speaking, like I remember when I was like maybe 19 or 20, I didn't know it's not that I didn't know how to speak English, but like I could understand everything, write everything, but if you ask me to speak, I wouldn't find the words. And so at some point I was part of an international organization, and we were doing conferences, and you had to speak to an audience of 500 people in English. So what I would do, few beers, and then I would go on stage.
That's the way. That's the Belgian way. Yeah, but exactly. Like it takes away your scaredness, and it takes away like the breaks that you normally would have. And because of that, it was really fun to do and really worked well out, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Man, so, I wouldn't do it anymore, I guess. I wouldn't drink too much anymore before I go on stage. Now I kind of have a reputation.
Oh my God. I also remember last time at React Brussels, where we went to party after.
Yeah.
That was also great.
That was a really good party. Well, it was your fault, because at React Brussels, we always do these after parties, and it's always really fun. And then Aymen came to me and said, "You want to go party tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, of course." And then we went with, I think, 4 people, 5, 6 maybe.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun. And then I got home, I think, 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. And the next day we had to go to speakers dinner. Well, speakers lunch. Yeah, it was a good combination. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
I had to wear sunglasses all day, so you know what that means.
Yeah, we were the sunglasses group in the middle of the restaurant.
Yeah. It was kind of funny.
Yeah. So what would be your advice to someone who wants to start speaking? Like how can you find your first talk? What are the places maybe where you can try out a few talks?
Doing local meetups is the best way to get started, especially like if it's your first time and you're not really comfortable on the stage or with a microphone, for instance. Like it was so weird to hold a microphone for the first time and like actually speak in it. It was such another world. And I think doing local meetups can be such like a how you call it, like it takes away like all the pains that you have, because it's okay to fail there. It's like, hey, come and join us, we're friendly, it's fun, get on the stage, talk about something that you know and you want to teach, and we'll guide you through it. And to me, like that's what I do with devs.ghent. I try to find local people who live in Ghent or around Ghent in Belgium. I don't really ship a person from abroad here just to give a talk. I try to search people here in Ghent that are doing interesting stuff. And you can explain anything that you want, like anything that you use as a technology, any topic that interests you can be so much fun. Or it can be even better, like it can be about your personal life, like how I learn things as a developer. That could be a talk and that could fill 10 minutes. Or you could do a lightning talk for 6 minutes if you want, just explaining the latest feature in framework X or framework Y, whatever. A good talk is a talk that you love giving, or you love like teaching people something. And I think if you have that passion, if you can bring that upon your audience, like someone who does that really well is, for instance, like Tejas. He gives such a dynamic energy. He really takes you with him in his topic. And if you do that well, I think you're a great speaker.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, like when you are passionate about something, it's very...
You can feel it.
Yeah, it's easy to give your energy to other people and make them excited about the same thing. So
exactly.
Yeah, totally agree with that. So before we finish, I would like to ask a few questions about the future. Like, what are the kind of new technologies, libraries, whatever, that you are excited about, that you...
Oh, there is so much. I think this year, like, the web has progressed a lot, I think. We now have scroll link time animations. We have view transitions shipping stable. We have Angular 17 is a thing again. React has been doing cool stuff, and it's good. I think all of that is really good, and it's really pushing the web forward, and that's what I want, and that's what I think the web wants. And also the launch, of course, of Astro 4 will be coming, so I'm really hyped about that. We have something called Astro Studio, which will be launching, which I cannot talk too much about yet, but it will be amazing as well. It will be really cool. And I think, in a way, I won't say like I'm excited about Angular again, but it will be interesting to see that people that are using Angular are actually using Angular in another way again, and people adopting hydration and are adopting resumability, for instance. I think this will be a really interesting year for hydration and resumability. I think that would be, like, if we are looking back in 2025 to 2024, I think we could say that it will be the year of hydration or resumability, or both.
Yeah. Speaking of Angular, like, it's true. Like, when you compare how Angular was going, like, almost
exactly,
dying
it
as
disappeared.
a project
Exactly.
2 years ago, and how the last
I
few
think
months, like maybe 6 or 9 months,
and they have done that so well. Yeah, they have done.
Yeah.
They have marketed themselves so well, and that's really good. But like Angular 16, 15, 14, I didn't know they came out. I didn't care. I didn't look at it. And now suddenly Angular has eyes on it again from everyone. And I think that's a good thing, because people might hate it, people might love it, but it still gets used in applications somewhere. So it's good that it gets some traction again. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. And so my last technical question is, how do you see the web dev landscape in 5 years?
Oof, that's a really difficult question.
Are we going to be replaced by AI or stuff like that?
No, definitely not. I had a Twitter space today, and of course the AI thing always comes up. But to be honest, like, it might be a hot take, but I couldn't care any less. Like, I might watch some talks on AI and find it interesting, but I would never use it on my own. I don't need it. I don't want it. I kind of hate it. It's cool that it solves... If it solves your issue, it's cool that you use it. But it doesn't solve anything for me. Like, I drive communities, I try to set people up, I talk with people, couldn't be replaced by AI, can't really be helped by AI. So really, I don't care about AI. But if we want to talk about like what the future of the web will be like, I think it's so hard to say. Like, if you look back 5 years, so much has changed. Like, 5 years ago, I couldn't even write a JavaScript line. and now I'm working full-time in JavaScript. So it's so difficult. But I do place my bets on, I would say we're going back to MPA, like multi-page applications will be a thing. I think that Astro is here to stay. I also think that databases will become Edge by default, and like deployments will and build time will be so fast that we don't even have to pay for anything like that. Like on-premises will be gone, build time will be instant and super performant. And I think PWAs, like installable websites, might become a thing again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like I wouldn't agree about the PWAs because I think
okay.
I don't know. Like I personally like them, but the fact is that it's people are so used to apps right now that having to
because
install
PWAs.
something.
Yeah, I think that's also because PWAs aren't as installable and are not marketed as being that important. For instance, if you want to use Elk for your phone, Elk, this Mastodon thing, it's a PWA, and it's not like it's not really well done for Apple, to be honest. You have to do it in Safari. You can't use Chrome. But on the other hand, like they shipped installable PWAs in Safari now in the new release, which is also years behind on Chrome on that factor. So I think if they get marketed correctly again, and you have like a dedicated app store for something like that again, I think it might work.
Yeah, if you start having a dedicated app store for them and something like that, then it might work.
Exactly.
But having it this way, like a website asking you to download, it's a bit shady. So yeah.
Yeah, it's super shady in a way.
So that were all my questions. I would like to thank you a lot, Elian, for
thank you for asking me. It was really fun
to join the podcast. And where can people reach you? Actually, we didn't talk about that.
Actually, where can people reach me? Well, everywhere. I'm sorry, I just got COVID last week. I'm still recovering.
Oi.
Yeah. People can reach me on my... No, people can reach me on my website, which is www.elian.codes, which is just my name. But of course, I'm also on Twitter and available anywhere. You probably also could just message me in the Astro Discord or somewhere else. Yeah. I'm around online. You can find me.
Okay. I'll also add the links in the notes of the podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect.
So thank you to everyone in the audience for tuning in. And before I leave, I wanted to let you know that we recently announced React Paris and that we're looking for your feedback. So if you want to help us shape the conference, go to react.paris and give us your feedback. And if you want, you can keep your subscribe so you get notified when the sales open. Thank you, everyone.
Nice.
And see you soon.
Thanks for having me. See you next time.